Hey everybody, it's Joshua again. I'm not going to do my usual rigmarole at the beginning of this video because it's a very different type of video. For those of you who are uncomfortable with personal matters, for those of you who are uncomfortable with talks about mental illness, feel free to exit. For those of you who are going to stick around, we're going to talk about things that are going to make you uncomfortable. We're going to talk about things, some of my personal things, that maybe you don't need to know, but I'm going to share it anyway in the hopes that it's going to help someone. So, if you decide to stick around, thank you. If you don't, I understand. No hard feelings. We'll be back to videos strictly on books and horror and things like that soon. Okay, so as the title suggests, I want to talk about depression and anxiety today because it's something that I've been through my whole life. I was diagnosed very early on with major depression and major anxiety, and it's something that is still very misunderstood by the general public. Honestly, I feel like it's one of those things though that you can't truly describe it to someone who has not been through it, who has not suffered through it, you know? It's like a man who's had his arm cut off, okay? There's no way that he can accurately tell you and make you understand what it's like to be without that arm. And there's no way that I can accurately describe to you and tell you what it is like to have that sort of crippling weight on you. And to have that fear sort of looming over you at all times. And it is just the most awful thing. And it hurts you in a way that a physical pain never can. I'll just say that. But for me, reading and writing always helped. It was my way of escape, as it is for many of you. And I can pretty honestly say that without reading, I don't know that I would be here today. I certainly wouldn't be here in the same capacity that I am. I wouldn't be here as the same person that I am. And reading saved my life many times over. Many times over. So, it's something that we don't talk about often, and we need to. Because there are a lot of people out there, especially right now, that are suffering. And it's needless. So let's talk about some books first. Let's talk about some books and some authors before we get any deeper. So for me, I like to read a little bit of everything, as you know, and it's kind of always been like that. But horror was an early love of mine. When I was very young, I immediately picked up on Goosebumps, of course, like a lot of people do, and I started watching shows like Tales from the Crypt and Tales from the Dark Side, you know, the old stuff, the good stuff. And so some days when I start feeling that depression creeping in, or when I start, getting that tingle that I get when my anxiety really starts flaring up, I'll pick up a Goosebumps book, I'm 27 years old and I still read those things all the time because it brings me back. It's more than just nostalgia. It brings me back to a time in my life when I was just figuring out what reading could do for me and how it could help me. So if you are that way, then do yourself a favor and go and spend $50 on eBay and buy a big collection of Goosebumps books, because it's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of effort later on. I quickly developed a more sophisticated taste in horror, and so that's when I met this man right here, Mr. Stephen King. You guys know King is near and dear to my heart, and this is a big reason why. King's novels were the first that I really just lost myself in completely. And I could read a King novel through the nastiest storm. I could read a King novel through the nastiest argument. and it just transported me in a way that nothing else had before. And so for me, King, King is the ultimate escape. King brings me back to happier times. This book right here, From a Buick 8, this brings me back to happier times. This is a book that my great-grandparents gave me, and I spent a lot of my life with them. I spent a lot of my happiest moments with them. So for me to pick up this book, it's not just about the King experience. It's about transporting me back to that time with them where, Grandma would have some ridiculous soap opera on the TV, and I would sit and read 300 pages of a King novel, and everything was just happy. And I needed those times. Some of the other people that really helped me to just sort of escape reality for a while. Mr. Clive Barker. Clive Barker, everyone knows him, hopefully. He is a tremendous horror author. Also writes some incredible fantasy. This is a fantasy by him. Writes incredible, beautiful stuff. Mr. Neil Gaiman. This collection in particular, Fragile Things, this is one I read from him very early on, and it helped me to develop a love of fantastical writing. But more so, horror did a lot for me, but Neil Gaiman showed me that there was beauty in just the smallest little details of life. And there were things that I was missing out on that I could have been focused on instead of all these negative emotions and negative things going on. And Neil Gaiman really helped to show me that. He takes the most ordinary, mundane things and makes them beautiful and wonderful and fantastical. So, especially his short fiction, in my opinion. I think his short fiction outshines his longer work. Clive Barker, either way for him, he's just awesome, period. And for Stephen King, I prefer his longer work, I think. But those guys, they really helped me emotionally in that they were an escape. Poetry was huge. Poetry's always been a major part of my life. I've been writing poetry for, years and years and years. Since very young, I started writing poetry because poetry was an excellent way for me to get down what I was feeling, or try to get down what I was feeling. Emotions that I didn't even understand at the time. And, finally I started picking up poetry by other people, and I realized that there were other people suffering the same kind of way that I was suffering. And that was huge. It didn't even have to be anything positive. It just had to be something to show me that I'm not alone in this. And that was huge. And one lady that I would suggest for those of you who need that is this lady right here, Miss Casey Renee Kaiser. I have a couple of her collections. I met her through Goodreads. And this is a lady who understands. You pick up a collection of her poetry, and you know that she knows what true depression feels like. She knows what true anxiety feels like. And, it's not like she writes a happy, healthy poem to say, hey, we're going to get through this. No, she's just writing to say, hey, man, sometimes life sucks, and the situation we're in sucks. And your own body and mind are going to be against you. And I feel that. And for me, that was huge. I had a lot of people telling me, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. But, in my own head, I was like, man, forget you. You don't understand. No, it's not going to be okay. You're going to be okay. I'm not going to be okay, And so Casey and some of these other awesome poets, they were some of the first people that I finally saw someone else saying, hey man, it sucks, and you either understand or you don't. And that was huge. That was huge, just to know that there are other people out there. These ladies, Ellen Datlow and Terry Weinling, they put together some incredible anthologies. The Green Man was one that I read very early on, and The Green Man was another one I would highly suggest for younger people, for adults as well, but for younger people who need that fantastical escape. This collection helped to do the same thing that Neil Gaiman did, in that it kind of brought me back to the world. It took me out of my own mind and brought me back to the world to say, hey, look at all this incredible stuff going on around you, and you're missing it because you're so focused on this hurt and this pain. So that's an excellent collection. And then for those who are into science fiction or who want to get into science fiction, Mr. Isaac Asimov is incredible. He is the man who wrote the laws of robotics. He is responsible for basically everything we understand about artificial intelligence now. And he was an incredible author. Isaac Asimov was the one who brought me around to science fiction. I could not get enough of his stuff. And let me tell you, he is an excellent author, but he does not hold back with the science part of his fiction. So he is very detailed, but that was exactly what I needed. I would pick him up when I needed to immerse myself completely. And believe me, when you are trying to keep up with all these sciencey terms, and you are invested in this story about a robot who has gained sentience, you're not going to be worried about anything else that's going on. You're not going to be thinking about an argument you had where things were said that shouldn't have been said, or things weren't said that should have been said. No, you're going to be focused on this. And sometimes that's all you need. So I think that reading is an excellent source of help. Reading helped me far more than any sort of medication ever did, because with reading I had means of escape. With reading I had means of bringing me back and showing me the beautiful things in the world. With reading I had a way of seeing that I was not alone. With reading I had things that could transport me back to a happier time in my life. And that's my point here, guys, is that reading can do so many amazing things. Books can do so many amazing things. But aside from that, sometimes you just need to talk. And you need to find the right person to talk to. For me, I have a select few people in my life that I feel truly understand. And those people, they were lifesavers in the same way that reading was for me. Some of them were very unexpected. They were people that I never would have guessed would mean as much as they do to me. And so I just want to say, guys, that any of you who are going through this, any of you who go through these phases, the same way that I have through my life, you're not alone. There's a lot of great literature out there that can help you to escape, that can help you to understand, and help you to overcome. And anyone who needs to, anyone who wants to, my email is down there, okay? Just email me. Say, hey, Josh, look, man, I'm not doing so good. And I promise you I will get back to you. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to give you my number, and you can text me whenever you need to text me. Or if you want to keep it through email, you keep it through email, whatever. But I want you to know that I've been through it. I'm still going through it. Okay? It's a daily struggle. It's not something that just goes away magically. It's something that can get a lot better with time. But you have to remain strong throughout your lifetime. And that's something that you have to expect and something that you have to understand right off the bat. So, for those of you who want to talk, please, let's talk. Okay? I can't promise you that I'm not going to give you suggestions that 1,000 other people have already given you. I can't promise you that I'm going to, that I'm going to give you ideas that will actually work in any capacity. What I can promise you is that I will listen. What I can promise you is that I will understand, because I go through it. I get it, okay? And my hurt isn't your hurt. But I can promise you that I will understand in a way that a lot of people in your life might not be able to. I can promise you that I will listen, because sometimes you just need someone to really shut their mouth and listen. And guys, I'll help however I can. I really will. A lot of people might just see it as numbers and a faceless name out there, but you guys, you're my family on here, and I care about each and every one of you, okay? That's why in the comments, I don't just say, oh, thanks for watching. I try to make it personal. And some of you might not like that. And if you don't, that's fine. Tell me to back off. But I try to make it personal. I want to know about you. I want to know how you're doing and what's going on in your life. And, I want to build these friendships. I don't need to know you, from 10 feet away to know you. And to want to help you. So, like I said, guys, for me, reading and writing were huge. And if you're not writing, pick up a pencil, pick up a notepad, and try, okay? You will find some style of writing that is for you, whether it's poetry, or writing short stories, or writing a novel, writing fiction, nonfiction, just keeping a little journal of how you're feeling and why you think you're feeling that way at that time. These things will all help, okay? I can't tell you the number of stories that I've penned because I took some awful, unwanted thing that just kept spiraling in my head and I couldn't get rid of it, something someone said or something that happened. And I wrote it, I turned it into a story, and that was it. That was me releasing it through the pencil, and it was gone, and I stopped worrying about it. The other thing that a lot of people talk about and suggest, and I'm going to suggest too, is really look at the people in your life. Look at the people who are causing you this stress. Look at the people who are causing you to feel depressed. And some of those people are probably going to be the closest to you. They're going to be the people that are supposed to mean the most to you. And that's how it was for me, I pushed people out of my life that should have been an integral part of my life. But I pushed them out because all they were doing was bringing me down. And they were preventing me from rising up out of that negativity and rising up out of that depression and pushing away the fear and the anxiety. So I just said, you know what? I'm tired of it. I pushed them away. I have nothing to do with them. And I'm so much happier now because of it. And yeah, it might be hard, but you know what? It's your own life that you are saving and your own life that you are fixing by doing so. And you are more important. I know, that is a tough thing. It's an awful way of looking at it, but it's just true. Okay? There are some people, I guarantee you that there are people in your life right now that you would be so much better off without. But guys, I don't know. I guess I've talked enough about this for today. I hope someone gets something out of this. I hope that I've helped. I hope that I don't just sound like I'm rambling. I am very serious, though. I'm very serious. If anyone wants to talk, please do so. We can make it as confidential as you want. I don't need to know your name. Just email me, say what you need to say. I'll respond. But I'm there for you guys. Okay? I understand. It's a daily struggle. It sucks. It's part of life. Unfortunately, it's part of life for me, and it's part of life for a lot of you. But there are ways of getting through it. and we can do it together. So stay strong, guys. You are wonderful, wonderful people, and we'll get through this. We'll get through this together. Bye, everyone.